My name is Adelle Onyango, and I've been worried because I've not been so nervous as I was sitting down, so I thought there's a problem. And I was like, what's not happening? But I realized it's because when I speak my truth and I speak my life, I don't get nervous. So I think it's a good sign, right? So I turned 29 a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm still accepting gifts, thank you. But I realized, you know how they tell you with age comes wisdom? I had like an aha moment, right? I know everybody who's like past this stage is laughing. No, seriously though. And two of the things that I decided this year was that I was going to celebrate myself more. And the other thing is going to own my journey. So writing up what I'm going to share with you guys today was like a journey of healing as well for me. But I realized like my journey has been about battling fear. And fear in my life has manifested itself in so many ways. And the first time I remember, I'm pretty sure there were times before that, but the first time I remember was in 1999. And I was in class 5. And my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And at the time, being the strong African woman, she made it seem like it was malaria. Like, I celebrated my birthday in hospitals. I thought, okay, so she's just measuring some pills, her hair is falling, it's all right. She's going to be cool. Until a classmate told me that, oh, your mom has cancer, you know she's going to die, right? And I was like, no one told me that that was an option. It is malaria. She's coming out. And my elder sister beat up that girl. But that was the first time I felt actual fear, because I was raised in a single mom home, so she was my everything, right? She was my best friend, my tormentor, all in one. And so I couldn't figure out the fear of not having her in my life. I felt fear after being raped. So when Nana made us hold hands, it was so heavy because in between Akinyi and Wambari, whose hands I was holding, I was the one in the three of us. For many years, I assumed the role of the victim because it was comforting. Everybody was doting over you and trying to make sure you're okay. Until I realized after doing a couple of interviews where I'd be sitting on this couch and I'm thinking, I've done so much, I've conquered so much, but there's still this victim hat that either I'll put on or somebody else will put on for me. And what I've realized is that I've finally gotten to the stage where I've dictated how that experience is going to affect me. I've owned my narrative. I've owned that, yes, it happened. It was not my fault, but how do I take my power back, right? But the fear then came in allowing myself to break. Again, back to my mom, my tormentor and my best friend in one. And when I finally told my mom, because I did the thing that many of us do, we think we're superwomen, and that's great, but sometimes you need help, right? And I tried to fix myself for the longest time, and it just would not work. It was a spiral. I'd bury myself in work, in projects, I'd crash. I'd start a new project, excitement, I'd crash. I'd be like, oh no, let's go do this, that, I'd crash. Until I opened up to my mom, and I still remember she was in the shower. I wrote her a letter, so I have my words in front of me. Words are everything. So I wrote her a letter because I didn't want to see her heart break. She was going through chemo. I didn't want to be a stressor. And after that, she just got out of the shower, so I had the shower go off, and I was like, "Bas, there's no taking this back. It's done." And my mom just came and hugged me, and she told me, "Okay, what do you need?" So she was like, did you go to hospital? Did you do what you meant to do? I was like, yeah, physically I did everything, but mentally, not so much. And that's when I started therapy and speaking about my issues with someone, because my mom was now in my corner. Again, my best friend, yeah? And the fear came in then because I had to allow myself to break. I think we normally, men included, we don't allow ourselves to break because of how painful it feels to let things fall apart. And sometimes you have to let things fall apart so you have a chance to build again. And you build it right. And even when you build it right, it can still fall apart again. And then you do what? You let it fall apart and you build it again. So right now, I still have the fear of falling apart, and I still fall apart. But it's a beautiful bitterness because, again, it allows you to rebuild. So going through what I went through, my fear now is not that I've lost myself or I'm broken. It only comes when I start rebuilding myself, right? So I've always been the awkward kid. So in primary school, I started growing tall faster than everybody else. So it looked like I'd repeated. But I hadn't. And then my best friends were all tall because we were facing the same things. We didn't like each other, but it's like we're in the same airspace, so let's just be friends. And that carried on in high school. I went to high school in Botswana. Again, at 12, I'm away from my best friend, my tormentor, in one. And I have to figure who I am at 12 years old and deal with boys and everything that comes with them, right? And then came campus when I came back to Kenya, and again, I didn't fit in. I always felt like I don't like what these people are doing, but then there's nobody who likes what I'm doing. I like reading poetry and analyzing it. That's a fun Friday night for me. But it's not when you're a freshman in campus. So I tried the fitting in, and it felt very uncomfortable. And one thing I've learned about when you feel very uncomfortable, that's like the universe telling you it's time to shift. And it'll make it as uncomfortable as possible for you. Whether it's a job that you need to quit, you'll feel extremely uncomfortable, right? And that's your signal to move on to the next and to leave that. And again, it's expensive money-wise and emotions-wise to force yourself to fit in, which is a truth that I've come to learn just at 29. So my mom was my best friend, and she was my tormentor. And it breaks my heart to speak about her in past tense. It's not something I'd wish on any enemy in the world. I still remember my mom passed away in 2012. It gets so hard for me to remember the dates because my mind does this thing where it tries to erase hurtful memories. Well, 2 days before she passed away, I used to call my mom all the time, or she would call me all the time. Sometimes I'd get very irritated with her calls. She'd call me and ask me, "Where are you?" I remember at a point now when I was becoming an adult and I could answer back, I'd say, "I'm in Nakuru." I'm like, "What do you think I am?" "See, I'm in town. I'm coming home." So it was a Thursday, and I called her, and she had gone to Shags to see my grandma, and she hadn't told me. And the breast cancer was back. It was spreading. So I was just like, this is not a time for you to be traveling around. Dana should come here. It's easier for her to travel. And we had a bit of a tiff, but she was so laid back. She wasn't as fiery as she usually was with me. And so I got over my emotions, and we ended the call well. We didn't speak on Friday. On Saturday morning, I was going to try yoga for the first time. I will never try yoga again because it just has, I didn't make it to the class, but it just has bad memories. So I woke up, wore my two tights, bought things for yoga, and my sister, Amanda, gets out of her room and she's just shaking her head. This is the same sister who beat up a girl in class 5. She's pretty strong. And she's shaking her head and she's crying, and I didn't need her to say anything. I knew my mom had passed away. And losing my mom has been the greatest heartbreak of my life. All the heartbreaks that I thought I'd been through were nothing. I almost feel like I gave certain men credit. Oh, he broke my heart. And then now I'm like, he really didn't. He really didn't. Because now I'm like, this is heartbreak. That was nothing. And it's something that led to many things, right? But the one thing it led to was, immediately afterwards, I got into a relationship, as we always do. When you're trying to run away from stuff that's not going right in your life, what do? You look for excitement. And see, men are exciting. So I got into a relationship that I look back at now and I'm just like, nobody talk about that. Didn't happen. But it did. And it lasted all of, I think, about 10 months, but it felt like it was 10 years. I got engaged in 10 months. Like, towards the end of the relationship, I was like, but who is this person? Who am I? Like, I don't even dress the same. I wear makeup to go to the kiosk. But now I'm just, who is this person? And I started feeling very empty inside. And part of me started saying, because I do believe my mom watches over me, like every single step. I felt like it was her making me uncomfortable until, that relationship had to end, yeah? But everything after that, why I call this the greatest heartbreak is that it'll be with me forever. It was with me when I was planning my wedding. I would start crying, and the event, the lady doing my decor would think, is there no wedding? Have you guys? These things take time, But I was crying because I was like, the person who's my best friend and my tormentor in one just wasn't there to be with me. And so I still carry that fear. I fear ever having a child because I fear pain, yes, but because I'm like, who's going to teach me how to bathe this damn thing? Like, do they drown? I'm the last born. I didn't take care of any kids. And YouTube only takes you so far. So there's fear in that, there's fear in marriage, all sorts of things. Okay, well, we've been married like 6 months. Let me not start talking like I'm a dawn of marriage. But there's things that you go through, and you'd like to talk to your mother, right? And I think it's deeper for any woman, African or not, to lose your mom. It's, again, I would not wish it on Trump. In the public eye, you can sometimes have the fear of feeling like you're not enough. And I've felt that. I've felt that I'm not enough. I've felt that sometimes when I do a show and, we spoke about what people put online, the social media and the hate. Sometimes I'm hardcore and you can't tell me anything. Sometimes it takes that one comment of, that was a work interview, for me to be like, okay, maybe radio. It's not the plan. The plan was PR. Let's go back to that. But you have a fear that you're not worthy, you're not enough, and you're doing it wrong. I haven't been in other industries, but I think it's the same. Because the women who come before you are a certain way, and they've succeeded in a certain way. And so I always carry this fear of wondering, is what I'm doing legit? Like, is it working? Because it's so strange even to me. So is it legit, or am I going nowhere? And so that's another fear that I think as women we carry. I feel like as men they have it easier with that fear, or maybe they just carry it better. So I'm very proud, guys. I'm so proud, again in the spirit of celebrating myself, I'm so proud of how self-aware I am. You can't tell me anything about me. Like, you can't call me a name that I know does not describe me. You can't put me in a situation that I don't want to be in, be it an event, whatever, no matter how small it is. If I don't want to be there, I'm not going to be there because guess what? I don't want. And it comes from small things. I don't want to pick up your phone call. I don't want to talk to you right now. It's on my terms, right? I'm aware of what I want to do in the world. I'm aware of my journey and what that means to me, what value is it adding. And I'm aware that I need to let myself be. And there's a friend of mine who told me there's no right, there's no wrong, there's just you. And so whenever I'm second guessing, I'm just like, hiya, this is just me. So I wish for every woman and every man who's here today, I wish upon you self-awareness. Because without it, I think you're not even living, right? So I have Evolve tattooed on, we were talking about tattoos. I was trying to get the Reverend to get a tattoo. That's how self-aware I am. So I have the word Evolve tattooed twice on my body. It's behind my neck, that was the first one, and then I was like, I can't see it every day, so what's the point? And then I got it on my hands. And the reason being that I'm very aware that I'm growing, right? So the things that I thought were true, even last week, are not very true right now for me. And I'm okay with that. I'm open to unlearning, I'm open to evolving, because that's how you know you're alive and you're not stuck, right? I think it's very important for us as women to share our genuine stories. This has been my genuine story. The two main things that I've gone through in life are my most truest points, right? And it's okay to share that you haven't gotten it figured out yet. No matter what industry you are, no matter how big you are, no matter what achievements you've gotten in your life, it's okay to share that you haven't figured it out yet, because it does wonders for the next woman. And focus on your own damn lane. Like, I can't stress that enough. I read 2 days ago that jealousy is a mixture of love and hate. And it is very human for you to be jealous. But when you feel jealous of somebody else's lane, you don't focus on their lane. You sit back and ask yourself, why am I feeling that? Like, what is it that I feel is missing for me that's making me feel jealous of somebody else's lane? Why am I focusing on them? My lane is pretty dope. Like, let everybody just do them. People hate what they fear. People hate seeing you doing stuff that they wish they were doing. And they probably just don't have the courage to do it themselves, right? So if you're very self-aware and you're aware of your own lane, I don't think paying attention to somebody who's coming has no experience in your shoes and is coming to tell you how to live your life on your lane. I don't see how that makes any sense, right? So, again, I'm not a victim. Like, I've refused that tag, and I don't know what you've gone through, but even you're not a victim, right? And I think I'm getting to this point where I'm understanding the why. Because I believe everything has a why. And it's easier to accept it when you're in control of it. But when it's things like losing my mom that are out of your control, it's just like, why? What's the why in this situation, right? So I came across this quote that says, not all storms are there to destroy you. It may feel like it. It may feel like you're being destroyed and you're completely shattered. But some of the storms are just there to clear your path. So again, if you're self-aware, you'll kind of see it. Not too shabby for a 29-year-old, right? Thanks, guys.